Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Productions, bring you a movie review.
And this one's been a long time coming, considering this has been probably the quintessential summer movie that almost everybody and their mama have seen.
Yes, and we're talking about Jaws.
Now, this is just one of those iconic films that once you've seen it, it lives in your brain rent-free. I mean, right down from knowing what it instantly is whenever you hear that iconic John Williams score or seeing that shadow off of the waves in the iconic beach. It just lives there, and it just exudes, experience and just all encompassing dread whenever you hit that water. It kept a lot of people out of the water for quite some time.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why sharks nowadays have a bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
It influenced Shark Week.
Hey, I still catch a few episodes here or there.
And also being directed by one of the most influential directors of all time. Let's just say a lot of movies, for better or worse, was inspired by this film.
And it just shows why, because of just so many interesting things was done with this particular film, both intentional and non-intentional, that has made this a cult classic.
Now, while we're doing this video, why are we finally going to Jaws? Well, at the time of this video, when this was released, Jaws would have already passed the 50-year anniversary mark.
Woo!
Wow. And
that is 50 years of terror and just dread.
Yeah, just multiple generational traumas.
And it keeps on coming.
And being directed by Steven Spielberg, his first breakout film that catapulted his career, basically changing the whole course of Hollywood because of this success.
Oh yeah, I believe this is, I guess, probably put in that hallmark of what I believe some of the most, biggest successes for a film in history. I think it's like
one of the earlier landmarks. It created the summer blockbuster.
Yeah. Steven
Spielberg is a director who, unfortunately, we have not really discussed much on this channel.
But again, we're big fans of what he brings to the table. He's a legend for a reason, and these movies definitely sum out why he's there.
Yeah, he's a director who pretty much handled every major genre across either doing live action and animation.
The man has range.
He's set to have a new movie in 2026, a new UFO movie.
Which, if it turns out to be, iconic in itself, this is just going to prove that, and, just give the man an Oscar when he comes around.
Again. But so be on the lookout for other Steven Spielberg related videos up until that point. And also we're close to 1,000 subscribers.
Just a little bit more, y'all. Just a little bit more. But what is it about this particular film, Jaws, that just brings so much interest, intrigue into this, space? Well, primarily, this film really centers itself around Chief Brody, who was just transferred from New York into the nice, quiet, and beach front property of Amity
Island.
Yeah, Amity Island. No more of the stuff he was having to deal with in the inner cities. He's traded that in for a nice, quiet life that he assumed was going to be how he was going to spend out the rest of his days. But some strange and if not very terrifying things start happening when a lot of shark attacks start springing about.
So Jaws is actually adapted from, like most of Hollywood works, from a novel by Peter Benchley. Peter Benchley actually written quite a few works that have been adapted on the screen.
And I was able to actually watch some of those, and they're not all of them really end up in the same care and development that Jaws was given, but at the end of the day, it's his story structure and a lot of the elements that show up in Peter Benchley's work that just grips the audience whenever you get sucked into it.
And Peter Benchley himself actually wrote as part of the screenwriting team on this with a co-writer. Basically, I can't necessarily discuss how faithful this movie is based off of his novel.
Unfortunately, didn't really get to read it, but I plan on at some point definitely putting that in my library.
I just know that a lot of the characterizations were changed to make the characters more likable and it was taking out a lot less of the political situation that envelops in Amity Island. But for the most part, from what we see, is a bare bones, but yet still emotionally resonating film.
The atmosphere that is developed around this particular tragedy is developed with this creature that is going around, and very much in this film is almost treated like a serial killer in some sense.
Yeah, Jaws is very much firmly in the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
In that regard, the early days before the horror really starts taking up. I say the 70s era is my favorite era of horror.
I totally agree.
Where it was more bold and it actually took a lot serious in some regards. A lot Oscar nominated, Exorcist, The Omen. Jaws is very much up there. But from what we have, like still very basic filmmaking is on display with the story, with the situation of the reason why there's so much of the shark a shark attack happens, the negligence of this mayor.
Oh my God! How many stories have we come from that springs from the similar assets that was in this film, where you have government officials whose main concern should be their constituents and the individuals they are governing, trade in safety and seclusion for an easy cash grab and buck. Just always in this situation was, we're doing this for the people, we're doing this for the notoriety to get more jobs and get more in touched on us. But always at the detriment of everybody losing their lives.
Yes, it does bring up some very subtle, well, not so subtle, like discussions on public safety on that regard. And like you have the situation with how bad it gets and the setting, despite it being being made in the 70s, it's a timeless story, nonetheless, because of a lot of the essentials of just every summer or just every holiday season. Like, pretty sure everybody wants to enjoy themselves in the outdoors, but unfortunately enough, bad things do happen.
And a lot of bad things ended up happening within this confines of this particular story in general.
As far as some criticisms of the story, it's kind of weird. Not really much you can say that's actually negative towards.
Honestly, yeah, I find it incredibly difficult for me to really point out anything in this particular film that that either A, didn't work at all, or B, just didn't serve the plot of what was supposed to be going on.
It's very serviceable and very economic in how the story is told. Probably a little bit more of the political tension would have been nice. Mm-hmm. Because the mayor character, he isn't much developed as much as he should.
No, he only has a few real scenes that really highlight what his particular ideas were on the situation.
Like his negligence is on full display, but I would let this in a little bit more of a grayer area of which his situation was. Mm-hmm. Talk about more of the characters on that regard. It mainly is a three-character bill. Yes. With Chief Martin Brody, played by Roy Scheider. Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace, please.
He was this is a role that really catapulted his career in the 70s.
I mean, I feel as though was his defining role for a lot of, for better or for worse. This is what he was really recognized for.
This is the type of character who, he's stoic but yet firm. He is vulnerable at times as well because he is a family man and whose family does get in the crosshairs of this situation.
And more importantly, I feel as though one of the main things I take away from this particular character, he's very much an individual who's not afraid to consult higher powers. If he feels in himself he does not have all the answers, and he's willing to bring in help. Something that I feel as though a lot that gets really thrown to the sides when it comes to creating characters that are supposed to be the leads in a lot of films, a lot of stories, where it almost falls entirely on them, or they feel as though they can't trust or rely on anyone. That's not the case with Chief Brody. He's very much an individual who feels as though if there's something that can be done, then we need to do it. And if we need to bring as many people as possible in order to understand it and get it done, that's what he's going to do.
Richard Dreyfuss plays the character of Matt Hooper, who is the lead researcher in the film.
Yeah, I really do love this character. At first he comes off as someone who's pretty snarky and a bit of a know-it-all, but at the end of the day, this was his field of study. He understands these creatures. He understands what they were dealing with, and the way that he brings about his role in the sense of trying to get everybody on board on just exactly what they were dealing with is something to be admired too.
Yes, and Robert Shaw's character of Quint, an instantly iconic character.
Oh, I just he from his role, just like in another story not too long from this, falls into the characters I feel as though I just wanted more of. He's definitely that was one of the highlights from this film for me, and then right up until the very part where we depart with him, it's interesting. I just love.
Yeah, his character unfortunately is parodied a lot. A lot, but the Jaws is basically the gold standard for a film like this in the creature feature era space. Like one of the standout moments with this character is his monologue scene that discusses his backstory with a similar encounter. He like with that moment alone, like I could have easily seen where if there were sequels that were made for Jaws, like 3 of them, and there was discussions of a spin-off of this character that would have been set during World War II when this monologue could take place.
On one hand, it sounds like sacrilege because you never want to touch a golden classic like this, but on the other hand, it's like, I'll sit down for that. I'm here for it.
And like he's like an instantly iconic character. A lot of this movie is just instantly iconic.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little bit more of Brody's wife characters more.
She doesn't, and unfortunately, her character doesn't get enough flowers until I guess one of the sequels down the line. But again, no other movie in the Jaws franchise really stacks up to the exact same heights as this one really does.
And as far as production is concerned, like what else can be said about the production of Jaws that has not been said? We all know this movie had talk about in modern day cinema where production issues are up, like they tell their own story well before the movie even comes out.
Honestly, again, nothing that we haven't already know, or at least it hasn't already been shared back in around this particular production. This is the movie that honestly should never even came to the screen. But a lot of those instances when it comes to working with the mechanics that went into the creatures shots, from the way that it was done around the location spotting and stuff like that, all those things have horrible situations that honestly set back certain things and made direction had to be switched and pivoted on a dime just like that, has offered this film some of those best direction, some of his best cinematography, some of the best moments that honestly made Jaws what it is.
Even knowing the problems that occurred, it's a perfect example of no matter what is shown on screen should reflect none of that. Like you shouldn't the audiences should not be aware what the story is being told is like what they're seeing is what they have, and is a very great product, really wonderful product on display.
This is, if anything, those mistakes and the way that it ended up shaping just how wonderful this production ended up being is a hallmark to great direction, to great cinematography, great story structure. All of that wrapped into a bow that honestly is what cinema is about, and what showcases not only just talent but mastery of a talent, and from those who are amateurs at it.
Yes, we have a film that for all this build up, this shark is on display. Only at very key moments. It builds is very much a very crescendo of tension being on display. Is a movie is a really great job of building up suspense. Something that a lot of horror does not do even till this day.
Oh God, no. And that's a shame in of itself. You don't always need a big spectacle in order for somebody to be sucked into your thing. Somehow it's almost even better when it's in certain ways when less is more, more is less. It really depends on how well you're able to execute it.
from set design of the boat that takes up most of the second half of the story, the orca. Very great engineering on a storytelling point. To imagine how much was even shot on in the water was on display here.
The beauty behind a lot of the production in this film is it puts you right in the moment of the action or what is going on. It almost feels as if you're a part of the story itself as it's being done, and that is something that is just incredible to witness.
50 years from now.
Exactly. And you still in those when you watch this film, you still feel as though you're right there, and you're terrified to be amongst it.
And of course, we can't discuss more about Jaws with John Williams' iconic score.
Again, once you hear it for the first time, it never leaves you. It is an earworm that you are so happy is with you.
Yes, it is a one balance of the simple, very foreboding melody that we all know, and also of a swashbuckling adventure film as well on the second half. It's a very blending of two different genres of horror, also sea adventure. It's a really wonderful mix. So even though 50 years in the making up until this video, how we feel about Jaws? Well, like I said, not a lot of criticisms even to this day.
Nope.
The sequels are another problem, but Jaws 1975, I would say it's an amazing movie.
Yep, I can't agree with you more. It is a reason why this is on the legendary list for all-time horror classics. Definitely, if you have not watched it, and if that's even possible, you owe it to yourself as a fan of film or just an enjoyer of summer classics or movies in general. Watch Jaws. Get your own experience with it. Make memories around it. I know we both have.
And if you're staying tuned for our other videos that's relating to Steven Spielberg, please like, share, and subscribe. I have some interesting videos up front up until the release of Steven Spielberg's next directorial outing. And also look at our other social media outlets of X, Letterboxd, and Instagram for other content we don't necessarily post on this channel.
Of course, I'm Aaron.
I'm Adam.
And this has been Sick Media Productions.
See you.